Okay, hello everybody. I realize that a bunch of people are trapped at home because of this virus stuff, and I thought I would make a little video about something I'm working on. It is kind of an intriguing SketchUp drawing challenge. I had an idea to make something. It's basically an application. It's exactly like Microsoft Flight Simulator, except that when you're inside the flight simulator and you're looking out, you don't look out onto a world of earth and airports and roads and windows. What you look out and see when you look out of your window is you see products that are for sale from Amazon. So it's a way that you can browse through Amazon's products. But what I thought would be fun, it's the mixture of browsing through Amazon but Facebook, because whatever product you happen to be looking at, everybody else that was in this Amazon application that was looking at this product, they would be shown around you. And if you wanted to, you could take your little flyer and tilt it over like this, and you could look out the window of your flyer, if you wanted to, at the person who was over there in this flyer. And the mechanics of doing that in SketchUp are a little bit complex, but it would fly in the same way that Microsoft Flight Simulator flies. So if you were inside of it, you would be able to look around and see things. Like you could go look at that person. So you could take your flyer and point it over here and look at that person. And you could have flyers where you'd have like a flag here of what your nationality was, and maybe a set of numbers. And if you wanted to, if this person gave you permission, you could look at their numbers and talk to them. So it's sort of like Facebook and Amazon at the same time. All right, and I thought, well, this was kind of interesting, but I thought perhaps we need to work on this Amazon flyer. I actually called this Amazon Berg, and Amazon Berg is a word that is available as a domain name, so that's why I picked it. And I actually have Amazon Berg on my website. So let's get this back to where it's supposed to be. All right, and we'll look at another one. And this is showing the, that's it in this format, but this is the showing the view where you can see through the items. And I was just showing, you take a basic shape and you try to make it prettier and perhaps smooth it. And I was working through adding this window on the top of it, and that's what these drawings are. And these are actually solids. So you don't want a spaceship that's a complete solid, because the skin of this spaceship is infinitesimally thin. And I was working through, well, how would you go about making something that was more real? And I thought, well, let's take a look at this idea. And what I did was I just simply took this solid structure. I've added the glass window on it, And then I created this solid structure, and the volume of this solid structure is 1,050 cubic feet, and the volume of this solid structure is 890 cubic feet. So I thought, well, it should be possible to take this structure and put it into that structure, and that's what I'm doing here. And you finally wind up with a drawing where the littler one, and I may be able to show this. Yeah, see, there's the little one, the little green one, and the little green one is inside of the purple one. And if you look at it from the side, you can see that in all dimensions, the little green one is littler than the purple one. And so what I discovered was, it seemed to me you could take the little green one, this one here, the green one, and take the green one and put it inside the purple one, and then subtract the green one from the purple one, and you would get a skin. And every time I did this in SketchUp, when you ask SketchUp to do that, everything that you're working on just disappears. It seems like SketchUp is not happy about doing that. So I thought, well, how about that? What I discovered is if you take this little green one and extend the back end of it out so that some part of the green one is sticking out of the purple one, then if you subtract them, that seems to work. And that requires that we open up this drawing. And here again is the purple one, and the size of this guy is 1,050 cubic feet. Now, the size of this one has gotten a lot bigger because I added as a solid onto it this back end that's square. And then what I did was, if you go down here, and let me get a different drawing. All right, and what is going on here is this solid and this solid have been put together where this solid, which is the green part of this, is smaller than that. This solid has been put inside of that solid. There's that green one, see? And so then if you subtract this green one from that purple one, you wind up with this structure there. You wind up with a wall back in here. And if you evaporate that wall, you can see that you have a flying device that has a wall thickness to it. You can see the thickness of the wall. And it just is a little weird that it has to work that way, but that seems to be how it wants to work. But anyway, now you can if you want to make a completely solid structure out of this thing, you can put an end on it. A solid end on it, and there we are looking inside of it, and it has some thickness all around. The whole thing does, and we have a little flyer that we've made if you want to do that. Okay, and I was just looking at the little flyer, and I didn't like it that much. It wasn't quite right. This window is worrying me. I don't think a real spaceship would have a window like that. Of course, this is, remember, is a program, an application to run, but I thought, well, it ought to look right. So I worked on it some more. Tuned it up a little bit. I got this window where I thought it looked better, and one of the things that I did with this window was I made this a section from a cylinder so that optically it looks right. Now this coloration of clear that I have here has gotten out into this, and that's just a mistake. It's not supposed to be that way. Now, okay, and so I went out there and fixed that and got that the color it's supposed to be. Now this purple structure is a solid. I wanted to be able to look around inside this thing. I had a little doorway back here in the back. Here's the mannequin, and you could go through the doorway, and once you got through the doorway you would be inside the spaceship. And what I've discovered with this this view thing is that SketchUp always gets unhappy when you go try to take the camera and go through something. Alright, well, I figured it out. You have to have a perspective camera and an ISO view. And then if you go to the back of this thing and go through this door, you're inside the spaceship. I think that's pretty cool. So now we're in the spaceship, and we're looking backwards. Here's the door that we just came through. Here's the floor I put in there. And inside of the spaceship is that nose that you can see drifting down towards the top. It's got a sloped floor because of aerodynamics. And what I decided is, you know, we have to have the little guy that's flying it is up here where he can see out. That's him there, sitting in the chair, flying it. So you can see that he has a view out the window, out through that spherical window, that cylindrical window. And since he's up here elevated, then he's got to be sitting on something. And so I realized that we needed to put in here a little pedestal. And so now I've been working on a spiral staircase for that pedestal. And what I discovered was it's very hard to get. I've never been able to get SketchUp section to work, but you can make solids and just remove a part of this flyer because the flyer is a solid. So I just removed it, and here is the spiral staircase, and here's the podium or pedestal that this little flyer person is sitting on. And I put these little mannequins in here because I wanted to be sure they could get up those steps without hitting their head on the flyer. And I thought I had it, but there's a little bit of a problem right in here because of this guy's ear, and he's going to have to tilt himself over a little bit. But the rest of them are not doing bad. And this is again another one where I put it in here and just put, the only thing I put in here was the glass window. It actually works okay there, but some of this solidity of this flyer comes down in there. So here's the main flyer guy, and he's in there flying it. And I thought, right now currently I'm working on a way to exactly how if you had a spiral staircase, would you support it? And I'm using the Frito curve by spline. I put all these little circles in here, and I thought that looked pretty cool just to look at it. And then I hooked them all up together and then I let it convert that into a solid, but it's just, it doesn't look right. I mean, it's cool, but it doesn't look right. I was going to put a little connector on there and have a metal strap that went from this pole here. It would go under here and come up here and hook onto that. And I realized that I could make a curve and use straights and curves, and I think this is going to be prettier. And I took this connector and established that if this was one solid structure of metal, which is doable, and structural steel can be done this way with inductive heating, this thing has a large enough diameter to it that you can swing it up over this. You can go from here and go all the way back this way and have this surrounding that. And it's not exactly what we're addressing today. I just wanted you to see it because I thought it was kind of fun. I'm working on these little mannequins. The little mannequins are the same size as a human, and I made them for the purpose of showing scale for the structure that I'm working on. They're kind of general purpose.